The moment I saw his Facebook post, my stomach dropped. There it was in bold, smug letters for the entire world to see, moving to Thailand with my new girl. Starting fresh. He thought he was untouchable, that I'd just roll over and let him humiliate me publicly. I stared at the screen, numb, reading the comments piling up beneath his announcement. Some of his friends were cheering him on, others were confused, and a few mutual friends were already sending me messages asking what was going on. My hands trembled, but not from sadness. It was anger, a kind of cold, sharp anger that makes your chest feel tight. He thought I was clueless, that I'd sit in silence while he ran off into the sunset with some woman he'd been hiding from me. I didn't cry, at least not then. I took a deep breath and typed one single word beneath his post, okay. Just that. No emojis, no exclamation points, no drama. I wanted him to think I was broken, defeated, maybe even too embarrassed to make a scene. He'd underestimate me, as he always did. That was my first move. I turned off my phone, sat down at the kitchen table, and let that anger settle into something solid. For months, I'd had this nagging feeling something was off. Late nights at work that didn't add up. His sudden obsession with business trips that always left him with tan lines and stories that didn't match. The smell of perfume that wasn't mine on his shirt one evening. When I confronted him back then, he laughed it off, called me paranoid, even made me feel guilty for suspecting him. I dropped it because I wanted to believe him. I loved him, or at least the version of him I thought I knew. Now, looking at that post, I realized he never even had the decency to tell me himself. He wanted me to find out like this, through a Facebook announcement to his buddies. He had no idea I'd been quietly preparing myself. I'd already started collecting evidence months ago, screenshots of messages he carelessly left open, bank statements showing suspicious withdrawals, even a copy of our prenup that gave me leverage he clearly didn't think I'd ever use. While he was busy flaunting his affair, I was building my case brick by brick. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine, pulled out my laptop, and began locking him out of everything. His email, changed the password, joint bank account, transferred every cent into my private one. I froze his credit cards, logged him out of Netflix and Spotify just for good measure, and even changed the Wi-Fi password. If he wanted a fresh start, I'd give him one. A start with nothing. The next morning, he called me, furious. I didn't answer. He left voicemails full of curses, shouting about how immature I was being. The irony made me laugh. Immature. This from the man who posted his affair online like it was a badge of honor. I ignored him, let him stew, and kept working behind the scenes. I called our lawyer that afternoon. I explained everything, sent over the screenshots and bank records, and within a week, divorce papers were drafted. Our prenup was airtight, something he hadn't cared about because he assumed I'd never leave. It gave me the house, half of our savings, and his car, which he clearly forgot was under my name. When he finally came storming back into town to discuss this like adults, he was locked out of our house. He stood there, pounding on the door, shouting like a madman while I watched from the window. The neighbors peeked out their curtains, some even filming him. He called me every name under the sun, but I stayed calm. I'd already changed the locks, already spoken to the police about a restraining order. There was nothing he could do but seethe. I finally stepped outside, divorce papers in hand. He went silent for a moment, shock flickering across his face as he realized I wasn't crying or begging. I handed him the envelope and said, "You wanted a fresh start, right? Here it is." He ripped the papers open, scanning them quickly, and that's when his face drained of color. He hadn't expected me to fight back, let alone win. "Are you kidding me?" he hissed. "You can't do this." "Oh, I can," I said, my voice steady. "And I already have. You wanted to humiliate me publicly. Congratulations. You got what you wanted. And now so do I." He stood there speechless, gripping the papers, looking like the ground had just been pulled from under him. That was the first time I'd seen him truly afraid. The divorce moved quickly, thanks to the evidence I'd collected and that prenup he'd laughed about years ago. He lost the house, the savings, and even his car. That dream trip to Thailand with his new girlfriend. He couldn't afford it anymore. From what I heard, she left him not long after. He ended up crashing on a friend's couch, broken bitter, while I rebuilt my life in peace. There was something deeply satisfying about knowing he'd thought he'd outsmarted me. He thought I'd be too devastated to act, too weak to fight back. Instead, I left him with nothing but regret. Months later, I posted a picture of myself standing in front of my newly renovated house. The caption was simple, "Fresh start." People flooded the comments, some laughing, some cheering me on. Even mutual friends who'd stayed quiet during the drama reached out, saying they admired how I handled it. I didn't do it for their validation, but it felt good to know I'd turned something painful into power. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's quiet, methodical, and devastatingly effective. He humiliated himself by underestimating me, and I didn't have to scream or cry or beg. I just let him walk himself into ruin, and I walked away stronger. If you're ever betrayed like that, don't let anyone convince you that you're powerless. Sometimes silence is the most powerful weapon you have. Let them think they've won, let them underestimate you, and when the time is right, show them exactly what you're capable of. If this story made you smile or cheer a little inside, hit that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.